Starting on YouTube is tough, but here's what I've learned in my first 30 days on YouTube. Let's take a look at the stats. I posted my first video on October 16th, and you can see here on the screen, I have a total of 6 videos published, 2 shorts, and I'm currently at 51 subscribers. If we look at the content analytics, so far I've gotten 890 views, 23,000 impressions. The impressions have picked up lately. And my click-through rate is averaging at about 2.3%. Average view duration is at 2 minutes and 40 seconds. In general, what I've found is that my click-through rate drops quite a bit when the impressions have increased. So I have had some pretty big increases in impressions. So in the first video here, my impressions were 1,300. On my second video, the impressions were a lot less. It was 371. Then if I go to my third video, impressions went up quite a bit by 2,400. And then by my fourth video, impressions went up again, 4,900. And the click-through rate just really dropped. Now, the one thing that it seems to be pretty consistent is that pretty much after 2 minutes and 30 seconds, people have had enough of me. So my average duration is about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, the last 2 videos I've published have done better than that, but they're longer videos also. And I have a much longer video coming out soon. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of impacts engagement. I think the big takeaway here is I've published 6 videos. That is really not much. And so of course, I do start to obsess over these things and constantly checking to see how it's doing, if it's still getting impressions, if it's still getting views. And it's just healthy to just walk away at this point. I think that would be a piece of advice I would have to anybody starting out this early. I've done 6 videos. That's really nothing. So these numbers, it's sort of important to monitor them, but the more reps I get, the more I'm going to learn. And so I just need to kind of keep creating content. Let me talk about some of the challenges I've had in these first 30 days. Number one, it's finding time to shoot. I do kind of build up this anxiety that shooting is like this big event, but I think it just comes with getting experience and being more comfortable in front of the camera. I'm still not 100% there, but definitely finding time to shoot is a challenge. Editing time is a challenge because it seems like even though you might be doing a 5 or 10-minute video, it seems like it takes hours to edit it. And then you've got this whole, I want it to be perfect and this little thing, that's not correct. And so that's definitely a challenge of finding that balance of doing high quality work, but also just getting it done and having it not take 20 hours is a challenge. The microphone has actually been my biggest challenge. I've shot 4 videos with no audio, and it's brutal. Whether it wasn't plugged in or I didn't have it selected on my recording software, but shooting a video and then realizing after the fact that there's no audio is just like brutal. So that's been a big challenge. I think I figured it out at this point. I'm definitely getting more of a rhythm, but the microphone has just been a challenge for sure. This is an incredible amount of work for pretty much either you're doing it for crickets or no result whatsoever. There's not much feedback. There's not much engagement. And actually, I think this is very much like starting a business. It's a very difficult task, and you have to be like willing to work very hard for very long and for a big delay for your pay period or for the payoff. This is very similar to that same scenario. You have to be comfortable with putting in a lot of effort for basically nothing in return. And so that is challenging, especially when you can see other channels having great success and you're grinding and you're like, when is that going to happen? And so that is definitely a challenge and something I struggle with. A couple lessons I've learned. Number one, consistency. And I am not there yet. I am far from it just because I've got so many things going on right now. I do not have a set schedule. So I'm looking forward to that, of trying to dial in the days that I shoot and just have a little bit more consistency with things. I think it'll make it a lot easier, but I'm not there yet, but I am looking forward to it. I spend a lot more time researching before I even turn on the camera, and that's a big lesson I've learned is that I actually want to have as much confidence as possible in the title of the video and the overall theme. And I do all this research in the beginning because on my first few videos, I like shot the video and then I was doing research on what my title should be and trying to make it's like I was trying to make my title fit the video. And what I realized is when I was doing research for the title, oh, well, I should change the title to something else because these videos have done better. But I already had the video shot. So I was kind of like dead in the water. So that's one thing I've definitely learned through this process is spend a lot more time on the front end of researching things. Engage with not only your audience, but other channels' audiences. And it is a social channel, and the idea here is to be social. But I can definitely see a connection from other channels that I'll interact with is, I do see an increase in views and traffic on my own thing. So, you have to be genuine with your engagement, but it's definitely worthwhile. I'd say the biggest lesson I've learned is to make sure my microphone is plugged in because that drove me nuts. The single most important tool that I've used in this entire process is ChatGPT. It is an absolute game changer. It has helped me find my voice. It has focused my efforts. I never would have been able to accomplish all of this without ChatGPT. It's been amazing. And everything that I do, I know is focused on my ideal target audience, like everything. So that is a massive difference where I think I can, when I'm doing research, I can see other channels, I can see people doing videos that are literally getting single digit views. And I know that this gives me an edge from the beginning is just being able to really articulate and understand what my ideal audience is looking for. And so I'm actually looking forward to these compounding efforts in actually growing the channel. So, but that's been the most important tool by far. If there's one thing that I wish I did differently is that I started this like 10 years ago. This has been a very empowering journey, a very humbling journey for sure. But the amount that I'm learning is very exciting to me. This is a difficult period right now. It's not easy, but I do know that if I stick with it and stay consistent and keep learning and keep working, I'm going to get to where I want to be. So I just got to stick with it. If you're new to YouTube or if you're still sitting on the sidelines, my biggest piece of advice for you is just start. Just jump in. It's really what I did. No, it hasn't been pretty. It's not ideal, but I see so many people on many different platforms talking about how they've been thinking about starting like for years. And it just blows my mind that how crippling fear can be for people. And, fear isn't even anything tangible. It's just something we all create in our heads, but it is so paralyzing. It's insane. And there's just examples of it everywhere you look. So if you just take that first step and just break the ice, just get started, you're already a million miles ahead of anybody else and you'll figure it out. Like if you really commit to it, you'll learn and you'll learn from your mistakes and you'll grow. This wraps up my first 30-day journey on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.